All right, so here we are. We're gonna break down this unit that y'all just kind of watch me take apart. We'll start with, this is, the main body of the outdoor unit. And like I said, it is deconstructed. So I've taken some of the cage off over here. You can see, just to expose some of the parts so I can tell y'all what they are. Here is probably the most important part of, well, one of the two most important parts of the outdoor condenser. This is what is gonna be called your condensing coil. And it's a line, as you can see, of copper tubing that is protected by these aluminum fins. You can see kind of almost through it. And it goes all the way around the outside of the unit. Now it's protected by a cage like this because it's very fragile and very prone to leaks. So after you have your coil, you're gonna go down in here. And now this is a heat pump, so we're gonna have a couple more parts in this heat pump than we would a typical AC. So you're going down from your coil through this copper, and here you have your reversing valve, which is only on the heat pumps. That's one of the specifics to a heat pump. And this is what tells it, hey, whether you're gonna be heating or cooling. What this does is it opens or closes to either reverse or send the refrigerant in its normal flow direction, and it changes the jobs of the two coils you have. So in cooling, this coil is going to be the one that's outside, and it's taking the heat from inside and rejecting it. Now, when you're using a heat pump and this is open or closed and it's in heat mode, this coil actually ends up doing the job that the coil on top of a furnace would typically do. And it's gonna take the air from outside and heat it up and push it out inside. So it's doing the opposite of what it would be doing in cooling mode. Here you have a reserve tank. This one kind of looks like a little miniature compressor almost. But here, underneath this protective heat casing or cold weather casing, you have your compressor. So what the compressor is it's just a big pump, basically. It's gonna take that refrigerant and keep it moving and circulating it through the entire system. Over here, you can see I took this off of right in here. Typically slides in, and it's right here inside this little door with all these wires. This is your capacitor. This is your electrical source that will start or run the fan motor, which is here, and the compressor. Typically there's something wired here. These wires are the ones I took off that run the fan motor and the compressor. Now when those start up, they need a little extra power, and that's what this does. It will give those just a little bit of extra power to get the motors turning. And once they're turning, they're able to run. Here you have your contactor, which will tell the outdoor unit whether or not to run. So when you turn on the heat or cool at your thermostat, what this does is this little button right here pushes in. And when it's not pushed in, there's no electricity going from the outdoor unit or from the wall to the outdoor unit, even though the breaker's turned on, or else it'd be running all the time. So when your thermostat tells the outdoor unit to come on, it's gonna push this button in right here. And that sends the current of power across the sides and tells the unit to come on and run. And then up here, this is another part that's gonna be specific to heat pumps. This is your control board. So it's gonna do things like it'll sense the temperature and tell your heat pump whether or not it's too cold for it to run outside, because heat pumps, they won't run if it's too cold. Say under, typically I think it's under 40 degrees, they won't run. And that's why you have to have a heat strip in your air handler inside, because if it's too cold outside, the heat pump won't run effectively and it could damage it. Now, actually, I'll show you why this one was returned and put under warranty. You see how oily that is there? You see the oil? That oil is a sign of refrigerant leaking. So somewhere along in this, either this outdoor coil or in one of these tubes somewhere, we're leaking refrigerant. And as the refrigerant leaks out, the system becomes less able to do its job. That refrigerant is going to be what's powering the heat and cool. So it's basically like your car running out of gas. It's not going to work. And over to the fan motor, which I have just left attached to the top of the unit. You'll see it's just a simple motor there with the drive shaft, which is what I'm spinning now, this bar right here, which comes as a part of the motor. And then you have to buy these fan blades, because sometimes these fan blades can get bent and damaged, or sometimes they scrape this outer liner. I mean, you can see from the factory how close it comes. So if one of these gets bent or whatever, or ever so slightly touches this, it's gonna make a horrible noise, because that's spinning very fast when your AC is running. And so sometimes you can just replace the blades, but often if you have any issues with this, it's gonna be either the fan motor has died and burnt out, or the capacitor, which is not giving it enough power to get it started or run it.